Welcome back, everyone, to LCS Academy. Dignitas QNTMPAY versus Cloud9 Academy. Already at the end of the day, one more game to go, and Cloud9, that was an explosive mid-game that snowballed into an outright victory.
We get to see a lot of what's going to be happening that kind of leads us to the point where it starts off where Dignitas go a little bit too far forward for a play up in top lane, and it really puts Will behind. But then Cloud9 kind of messes up a fight around the Rift Herald, and it kind of stalls out the game for a long time where neither team feel like they have a large enough advantage to actually do anything with what they have.
Yeah, this is one of the only fights where we saw some life in Dignitas, the Rift Herald fight that you were just talking about. Just because Spawn was able to get there so quickly with that killer instinct, everyone else capitalizes on it. Lorlo did a pretty good job of trying to sustain that top lane lead, of trying to keep himself alive up there and transfer that to the rest of his lanes, but there was just too much momentum in the other lanes of Cloud9 as Surenfire, Copy, pretty much the entire bottom side of the map was online.
We kind of see what happens too when King starts to get rolling. He didn't have any kills prior to this fight, and then by the end of it, we see that he's got a whole lot more gold because he's had time to scale. He's a huge threat in the rest of the fight. And then eventually, like, Dignitas QNTMPAY just kind of run out of things to do. This is another situation where they're just playing without a member. Darshan can get there, but Lorlo can not because of the difference in teleports. And ultimately, it means that Cloud9 going to be continuing to move their way up towards the top of the standings and continuing to cement their opportunity to play in playoffs.
And such a disappointment. I had said it right before the break that, you know, Dignitas playing such a slow game just enabled King to get into this position that he was in. Look at that CS lead. 60 CS separates these two ADCs. And once King realized he was at that pivotal level where his range is all the way to, you know, the opposite side, to the East Coast, all the way from here in Los Angeles, that was it right there. He could just Goomba stomp right on in and take out anyone he...
It's like a mobile turret, right? Like, oh, pop up here. Oh, okay, got a kill. Pop up here. Okay, time to continue shooting. It's really tough for them to do anything. It's almost like reverse whack-a-mole where you're the mole and you got, like, you just got a gun whenever you pop up. It's a little scary.
Wait. Are you calling it a mole because it's a Yordle?
No, but it is a Yordle with benefits, so, you know, it's pretty cool having that.
I was going to get to that, Georgie. But as we do head into this game number 2, it's looking pretty grim for Dignitas. We did say they get a lot of star power around Will. On the Rek'Sai, I just didn't see it this time. I feel like he does need to be on something at least a little bit more orthodox to be able to show up on the map.
I don't dislike Rek'Sai in isolation, right? Because he has shown that he is pretty good at this champion in the past, but this is a situation where, you know, we kind of hedged our bets a bit too much and ended up, like, not really going with a cohesive strategy in my eyes. The only real way that you get some of these fights to go off in your favor is if you are able to find these early ganks, and Rise, he has the root, but once that's blown, you don't have that much damage being provided by the Rise, and you weren't really playing around it in the first place. So I'm a little bit worried that when you go for this kind of hedging style, you end up not really having a clear strategy, and the team doesn't know what it's supposed to be doing.
What I'm kind of hoping for Dignitas is to see Will on something he's more comfortable with. Definitely the Rek'Sai is something he wouldn't pull out unless he's comfortable with it, but it just didn't work in the scenario that Cloud9 were able to abuse it in. Other champions he's found success on are highly contested, though. Xin Zhao is one of his babies, but he just can't be able to get it because it is almost 100% presence now, if not already at 100% presence, and is usually banned out as the first ban of the game. Gotta find something else that can give him some agency in this game.
I would really like them to just kind of commit, right? I've already said it a couple of times, but I think if they can find him some kind of AD bruiser, you know, be it the Xin Zhao, the Lee Sin, the Rek'Sai, even something like an Olaf or a Graves that are kind of falling into the extended version of the category, I think it will give them some opportunity to play towards an early game strategy, but I don't think you want to take Cloud9 to these long games. They have a lot of experience there, and they're going to be able to use it to beat you more often than not.
Yeah, those long championship rounds that I like to see him as sometimes. Once you get towards that late stage, that's where it's like a completely different ball game. Even in scrims, you don't usually get towards that late game. That's when just one team fight can really swap it around. Cloud9 had the team that works really well in that scenario. I already talked enough about the Tristana. The rest of the squad just made it come to fruition quite beautifully.
I also want to see a little bit more focus on like actually going for these dragons, right? I've already praised a couple of teams for being very aggressively looking to hit these objectives because most teams are coming in too slow, and if you force them to come in more quickly through these choke points, then you're going to be able to jump on them rather easily. But you need to be able to threaten the ideas, oh, we're just going to hit. We think you're too far, we're going to hit and we're going to dare you to prove that you're actually going to try and contest us. And once you have that as a credible threat, then they're going to be having to start taking more dire risks every single time they see you around a dragon.
We're definitely going to have to see how the draft does shape up. If they're going to choose to go for the same side, because one of the things about that draft was the banning of the jungle champion pool. Xin Zhao banned away, Fiddlesticks banned away, Lee Sin banned away. These are all champions that Will does like, minus the Fiddlesticks. It's definitely a Surenfire one. It's champions he has success on, and he wasn't even able to get the Diana on top of that just because Viego is such a priority pick to grab on that first round on blue.
I think it'll be interesting to see which side of the map these teams will be playing on so far. Today, we've had all the prior games have been on both teams with the same side between Game 1 and Game 2. And hey, what do you know? We're going for the three-peat. Dignitas QNTMPAY going to be on the blue side, and Cloud9 Academy going to be on the red side once again. Fiddlesticks taken off the table. I'm sorry, Disrix. This just isn't happening today.
No Fiddlesticks, no surprise party. Woe is me, my birthday is in a month as well, so terrible that be. Again, focusing onto the champion pool of Will, really trying to isolate a lot of those junglers that he does get on. By taking away that Lee Sin, I do expect Xin Zhao to be found away quite soon as well. Aurelia getting taken off the Rift. They did not want that to get through. Copy did look good on.
Also had an unusual build with the Gore Drinker into Sterix, a little bit more sustain heavy with the burst of healing rather than just the Vampiric Scepter in the lane in order to make sure that he can ignore a lot of the poke that Zaligo is going to be throwing out. So it is going to be something that they want to remove because it is a very strong champion for Cloud9. But with the LeBlanc taken off the table, Zaligo is going to have to find something to play.
Out of those big ones that we normally see picked early, we still have Diana up, we still have Viego up, we still have Gwen up. So there's quite a bit left on the table. I want to see what that ban is going to be for Dignitas and what they choose to prioritize. They are on blue side when they do have that first pick. I don't think Viego was a bad pick whatsoever. Lorlo did look pretty good on it, so if they did run the repeat with that, it'd be absolutely fine, and it does look like that's what they're going to go for.
Alright, the question is Cloud9 going to be bending the Xin Zhao like we've seen a couple of times previously and putting Will on his third best jungler? Or are they going to be trying to pivot, right? With Gwen and Viego typically being the two, and Irelia being the third one that's kind of rounding out that trifecta. Viego is the only one still up, so if Cloud9 are willing to just give it over to Dignitas QNTMPAY, it will be a little bit harder to answer.
There it is. Xin Zhao going to be bound away. They're still targeting Will. They want no way for him to get on the map, but that should spark the first pick of Dignitas QNTMPAY to be the Viego. Highly doubt they would first pick.
I'm still expecting this to probably be a Viego. It is very flexible where it can go, and it's a little bit interesting to me that they are taking this long to decide on what they are going to be first picking, because typically the first couple of picks are like, yep, you know, you're doing this, that, we're going to grab these couple of champions. Alright, we start getting to the real draft by about pick 3 most of the time, but Cloud9 are also a little bit slow in trying to figure out how they want to adapt to this. I think with the jungle pool being a little bit more pinched, they really have to decide what kind of style they want to be playing kind of early in this draft.
So champions to keep in mind that are still available right now, one that pops up is Diana. Yeah, Diana getting locked in. Very potent jungler. It's something that Will's good at, so you deny it from him while giving Surenfire a strong jungler. Other ones that come to mind is Senna, something King is really good at and something Isle synergizes well with whenever he's able to get into that lane with usually a Karma.
I've often seen that, and there's clearly a bunch of other things that Isles can play alongside it, and there it goes, the Senna coming through. Kind of expecting a Ziggs to come out from spawn at this point, simply because it is one of the best bottom laners at this point in the meta, simply because of how much safety it provides the rest of your team in terms of just being able to wave clear for waves on end. So Dignitas QNTMPAY, now that they see this, have a couple of options that they can go for. The Kindred I do like as a catch pick to the Diana, because you always have an opportunity between the first and second part of Diana's ultimate to throw down the Lam's Respite and at least keep you alive through the burst.
And you have some good carry potential when you take the Kindred. You did have decent damage that comes out of the Rex side, but just altogether, Kindred as a kit can scale as the game does go on. So, nice 2 picks out of Dignitas QNTMPAY in the early. So, 1 more pick to come out of them. You were expecting the Zigs, that's exactly what you're going to get.
Okay, so now the question for me is, how are they going to be building around the Senna? Because with the Kindred and the Ziggs, we're getting a little bit of opposite styles coming through. The Karma, you know, as you've already mentioned, can be played alongside King Senna, but it can also be played in the mid lane, can be played in the top lane. It's pretty flexible in what they want to do, and I honestly would really like to see it picked up here from Cloud9. It gives them a lot of options.
Reluctant. You do have the Senna Karma. If they choose to go for that, again, you were talking about the flexibility, it's still there, but that is still a very deadly lane to have to go against. Very oppressive lane, a lot of base damage you have to deal with, especially from the Karma. Get those empowered Qs coming in, man, they could be a tilter to have to watch your health bar go down that much at level 1.
A lot of range comes out too. It can make it rather obnoxious to play any of these melee champions that are very common as supports these days. I also like this Lulu ban because Lulu Kindred, very, very scary. Kindred has a lot of burst that a lot of players don't necessarily respect after you get the 3rd hit on her E. Just take a big chunk of HP and get that extra bit of a slow. So taking that off the table is going to limit Will's ability to be effective on this game.
Next man away is going to be the Yasuo, still really focusing on the solo lanes. And you pretty much have your jungler locked in by having the Diana. Counterpick will go over to Cloud9. We'll see if they give that to Darshan or not, or if they focus more on the mid lane. Usually the counterpick, a little bit more top-side oriented. 1 more ban to come out of Cloud9 Academy, as well as the...
Here's what they want to go for. The Galio ban does come through. A little bit surprising to me because there's not yet like primary engage coming out from Dignitas QNTMPAY, so they are a little bit limited in how effective that Galio could be, but it is a very protective champion that you can play in the mid lane for Soligo and can really limit some of the effectiveness that champions like Diana will have, especially when you combine it with the Kindred ultimate, where it just buys a lot of time.
Yeah, that's exactly what was going through my mind as well. You know, the hero's entrance, it takes a while before you get that channel going through. Lamser's fight will buy you that. Now, Cloud9 Academy, go ahead and, pick up the husband as well. You got Senna, you got to go pick up Lucian, covering that for the time being. Pretty strong, can flex into either solo lane, so you still got the flexibility going, whether the Karma goes top, mid, or support. Instead, not going for Lucian. They're going to hover it over right to the set.
Okay, very flexible picks between the Karma and the Set as to where you do want to play them. Set is still playable alongside the Senna. So, what are Dignitas QNTMPAY going to do? They already have a lot of damage already built up, but they don't have a lot of crowd control to play with. So I really want to see some kind of engage tools coming through. So Ligo going to be bringing even more damage. They have a lot of mid to long range damage, but so far they have very little proactive crowd control, and Thresh brings a little bit of it. Nautilus brings a lot.
I'm actually surprised that Thresh went this long into the draft, not even getting banned away, having champions like Galio prioritize over Thresh ban. Not going for the Thresh just yet, just gonna hover the Bard. You're gonna see the rotation come out, come on. You're not fooling anyone, Nautilus gets locked in.
I like the Nautilus. You need ways to get some fights started. It also is not a bad peeler. So this Nautilus will be a valuable pickup for Dignitas QNTMPAY, and you can sometimes leave spawn alone in this bottom lane because Senna Karma aren't the best diving combo. They can do it with the shields that Karma does provide with the extra HP that they will have. And now Cloud9 need to figure out how are they going to be taking these fights. Do they want to take them quickly? Or do they want to take them slowly? They want to take them very quickly with the Jace coming through. Yeah, you got to go super fast. You can poke them from really long range away. And I'm going to tell you something right now. Jace Q is going to be hurting a lot more than each individual Ziggs Q.
And I'm going to be so excited to watch Copy just run on in if he ends up with the set. Because it's going to be so fast. You get the acceleration gate along with the empowered shield coming out from the Karma. Not to go fast. That will be a frightening sight for Dignitas QNTMPAY to see. Meanwhile, looking over at their competition, there's lots of siege ability thanks to Ziggs trying to push in, trying to press. You do got the scaling of Rise to work with. There are some tools that you have that can be quite prominent for Dignitas QNTMPAY.
I really like this Kindred, honestly, because it gives you a lot of tools early on in the game. Kindred at level 3 has this massive wake up in terms of the damage that it's able to put out, and you also have some tools that allow you to scale up. So it's giving you some early game, but I'm also a little bit worried that it's not necessarily going to have the same kind of safe push from its lanes, right? Viego first couple levels can struggle up against the range that Jace provides. Riot doesn't have the damage first couple levels, so Set can push that in. And then the fact that Nautilus is a melee champion going into Santa Karma means that you're going to be taking a lot of damage and might get pushed in just on account of you don't have HP to play with.
So final game of the day now hitting the Rift. Dignitas QNTMPAY Academy taking on Cloud9 Academy. Rough position here as we are on week number 8 of 9. So the final games are coming in. Those locked in for playoffs are coming in. Dignitas got to be feeling the heat.
Okay. Cloud9 get a little bit of vision, but it's fairly shallow, so you're not necessarily going to know exactly where the opposing jungler is going to be starting for what they've done so far. Isles, just checking, like, hey, is there anybody here? Nope, got no gold. Actually, they don't have a support item, so they wouldn't have gotten any gold anyway, but are going to be going forward to try and investigate a little bit and spawn. Staying really far back, going to be allowing Cloud9 to take control of this tri-brush early, and so it's like we're going to be getting a late invade from Cloud9.
Oh, man. Here we go. Spawn, you gotta run. It's looking very terrifying. Here comes Fire and the rest of the squad of Cloud9 Academy as they just bully away Dignitas QNTMPAY and getting close to this red buff. But Will still gonna walk around this one, still gonna try and head it out to get a smite steal if he can. If he doesn't get it, this is going to be a lot of time wasted, and the reset comes in, so it is a lot of time wasted for both of these bot lanes, both of these junglers. Here comes the hook as JJ able to lock down Fire. Lots of damage onto Fire as the Ignite ticks away, knocking him to about 100 HP. This would be disastrous for Cloud9's early game, as they are going to return fire, get a lot of autos in.
Oh, he
JJ misses the hook! Falls sub 100 health. 2 more autos would be able to finish him off, but there is that base damage that comes out from Isles, and they will be able to win the jungle and take away the red buff of Dignitas QNTMPAY.
Okay. They were going to potentially do the Raptors and the red buff at the same time, but knowing they're all on vision, they don't want to be here for too long because Fire is so low. We'll have to smite this just for HP.
Still gonna do it.
Whoa, they're still gonna do it. They're gonna get both of these camps. They're going to really accelerate Fire relative to Will. So also getting a whole bunch of souls coming out for King. I was a little bit hesitant, but JJ missing the hook turns that right on its head. And now Fire is gonna try and stop Will from taking any of the Cloud9's topside jungle as well. This is huge.
And this is a strong start nonetheless. I mean, you're getting an EXP advantage as well for being near those assists. You'd still get experience there. It is going to provide a lot of momentum for Fire when dealing with Will, who's now going after the jungle of Fire.
Oh, boy.
Oh, meanwhile, a scrap going on over on the top side, but here comes the fight. Smite comes out to buy some health for Will. He wants to hop over the wall. Fire gonna go ahead and flash right over and score that kill right into the face of Will.
Ooh, Fire looking up towards top lane, but he has really shut down Will at this point, taking away a couple of his camps. Is going to be in a spot where he can pick up the scuttle crabs. We see the on my way pings coming through. A little bit surprised that Fire isn't going to be grabbing this, but I think he expects, Will expects, that Diana is just going to take this topside scuttle crab and won't go for it. But Will making the gamble that it's still going to be up and he's still going to check. So we can watch the level 1 fight again. And honestly, I was a little bit unconvinced with this. You're going to be fighting in a choke, and while Karma is very strong level 1, it can be hard to deal with all the range that comes through and all the base damage and the crowd control that JJ does provide. And we see that kind of going back and forth until JJ misses the hook. And this is the opportunity. King knows he can just go forward, get the last bit of damage, and they get the extra soul, and it forces the 3v2 situation, and the rest of Dignitas QNTMPAY has to back away.
Man, the man could have picked Thresh, Joshi. If he misses that hook, he doesn't get punished all the way to the raid like we just saw from JJ.
Yeah, but Thresh doesn't do the same damage.
Come on, he's Thresh, though.
Yeah, I mean, he's cool, but he doesn't do the same kind of damage. I don't know. I feel like it's definitely a back-and-forth situation where we end up coming up with Cloud9 kind of high-rolling that situation, where if that hook landed, it's possible that
Oh,
Dignitas
yeah.
QNTMPAY could have bursted somebody out.
Because that was
But
close
now
to a low
King-
health Sternfire.
It was, yeah. He got very low. King chilling in the mid lane. They know that he's here because they see the soul. So, interesting spot.
Well, Isles by himself over in the bottom lane. Fortunately for Spawn, he's already pushing, but there is the Hex Flash coming out, going right onto Isles. Isles gets some shielding coming out from his E. Has to use the tether, but will get no heal from the Mantra. JJ takes him down.
I don't. This is odd, like what King is doing right now, right? He's trying to stack souls because it's slow with a melee or a ranged champion, but he's getting spotted out by wards, and now he's losing levels and he's getting jumped on.
Yeah, I don't know about this move from King. Level 2, while Spawn, level 4. Not really getting too much out of this.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to ask someone about that later on, like what they think of that, because I'm just really unconvinced on like what the point of all of that was. Whereas Cloud9, you know, they were in a pretty dominant position, so you just need to, you know, make sure you're in a good spot for the next couple of levels. But he is now 2 levels. I guess he just dings into level 3. He's giving over a spot where Spawn and JJ, where they might have struggled before due to the fact that they're playing into 2 ranged champions. Now, like, Spawn's doing just fine.
No problems for him whatsoever. He's doing alright with his farm. Able to take a recall. He's been doing okay. There's nothing really for him to worry about, thanks to JJ getting that hook earlier to even give him some more gold on top of that.
Yeah, and if you were worried about, you know, your ability to actually just like play this lane because the engage coming out from Nautilus, it doesn't become easier if you leave the lane and give up a lot of experience and give up skill, right? It's only going to make it actually harder. So now Will comes down. There's a lot of crowd control, and they got to be very careful.
Still level 3. Now here comes the engage going right onto Isles. Isles taking so much punishment. There's the satchel to pull him right back in. But Isles sidesteps the bouncing bomb. He will live, but will not. Now Spawn try to run away, but there's nowhere else for him to go but straight to the respawn as Shardfire will take him down.
Oh gosh, great sidestep from Isles. Couple of kills going right on back to Cloud9, and we are back into a spot where Cloud9 should be very happy with this position. I don't think they're going to go for a dive. Teleport comes through from Spawn, so he will be here to dissuade any potential dive. But it does give King and Isles a lot better position. And up in this top lane, Darshan having a much better time in the Jace versus Viego matchup than he did in the Shen versus Viego matchup. He's the one with the CS lead.
Over on the bot side, it is such a shame. I mean, King had floundered a lot of that experience, a lot of that time, and this is just giving him a window right back in when he's able to get a kill and 2 assists off of that last exchange.
That's really what it comes down to, just having all this extra gold, and just watch how Isles plays this entire thing, right? He doesn't actually have his ultimate available here, so he doesn't get all the extra HP back when he presses R and W. Instead, he just gets the root, and it allows Surenfire to jump on in, and a good sidestep means that he's going to be able to survive. So, now that Dignitas are on the back foot in the bottom lane, on the bottom side once again, there's a lot of play for Cloud9 if they just want to hold this here and potentially freeze Ziggs off and get him out of experience range rather consistently, because they should be much happier with their ability to take these fights.
Yeah, they're definitely in a much better position now. Lego starting to roam out. There are pings going out from behind the turret onto Cloud9 Academy's area. But they are going to go and inspect it. I believe they just saw Saligo leave the lane and expected some sort of tower dive to be coming through. They haven't exactly spotted out where Will is. Will being right behind Saligo right now if Copy gets a little bit too close. Still though, Will is rotating over towards that back end. He is going to be looking for the tower dive soon, but it's going to be Cloud9 Academy that go for the engage first. Now here comes Saligo, here comes Will. They're going after Isles and King. Bouncing bomb goes off. Gonna land onto the back end of it. And there's the engage. JJ able to lead it up. There comes the bomb. A kill comes in. It's going to be Will who grabs the first one. Isles goes golden, stands as a statue, but is he going to be payroll? Is the answer going to be yes? He's still fighting it under there. He gets into Lamb's respite, buys a little bit of extra time, but Will take him down. Shardfire gets some revenge, though, onto JJ. Now Copy joining the fight. Shardfire hops in, finding a double kill.
Flash.
He wants to make it a triple, though, because there still is Flash available on Spawn. That means he will be able to find his escape. Shardfire might not be done. Kind of stalks the area, surrounding it, looking for anything else he could possibly do, but the recalls will come through for Dignitas QNTMPAY.
And we see this end up kind of being stifled by Cloud9 this time, this is the time where they're not necessarily going for the same kind of proactive plays, and Dignitas QNTMPAY are the ones that actually go for it. Spawn is going to be able to clear all this out, but you saw how long it actually took to take these guys down in the bottom side of the map. You have to use the Lamb's Respite, and unfortunately for Dignitas QNTMPAY, it works both ways. And look at the difference that's now appearing between Will and Surenfire. 46 CS to 70.
Wow.
The Dragon goes over to Cloud9, and 402 is the current Cloud9 jungler.
And the theme of this game has been a 2-level difference. We still have it with the junglers. Surenfire 2 levels above Will now. And it really does mean a lot when it comes to both stats, when it comes to your skills, the base damage on your skills, and the damage coming in from Copy as he goes straight for the engage here. Showstopper right onto Will. Will falls. Unstoppable is Surenfire. Making his mark. It's going to be Darshan with the long-range shock blast to grab another one.
Okay, 2 kills getting picked up for Cloud9 in exchange for the Rift Herald. They're also getting this top side of the map. So Will, we've already said he's starting to fall behind in farm, going to lose an entire quadrant of his jungle at the same time. King getting all these souls now by running around with Surenfire. So pretty big gold lead coming out from Cloud9 because of that. Also, Darshan with a red buff, just getting another plate for himself. This is a massive map win across the board coming in for Cloud9. Isles still in the bottom lane, able to wave clear up against Ziggs too to prevent too much damage to their structure.
I still can't get over that CS stiff that we're seeing in the junglers, and Will is looking very desperate as he tries to find more plays on the map. He's going to hop over the wall, go right after King, trying to get the slow onto King. Here comes the anchor, able to pull in King. Trying to finish him off now. Will cannot do it. King flashes away, gets away from the bomb. King will survive. Now the rest of Cloud9 Academy are showing up to the fight. Surenfire not going to be able to land the Q, but here comes over the wall. Darshan hops and slams down 2 of Dignitas. Saligo with a slither of health remaining, tries to get away. JJ gets pulled right on in, and Surenfire is dominating.
5,000 gold in the lead all of a sudden. King plays that so well, surviving the entire onslaught, and there was this turret going down. Copy teleports top lane. They haven't even lost a single plate up top, and now double teleport coming through, but the teleport goes into the mid lane for Cloud9. They're not going to be there.
Oh, Lorlo is here, and so is Saligo, but Surenfire is ready to bring that fight straight to his face, and so is Darshan with that shock blast. Runs right after Lorlo. Lorlo heads for the heals, and Cloud9 punished that double teleport attempt. Now Isles right in the face of Saligo, going to put down the tether. Not much of a place for Saligo to go to, just dying to get that shield. A nice sidestep will keep him alive.
Oh, Copy must be laughing at this point. He teleports somewhere else, and it doesn't even matter. The rest of his team is strong enough to turn around the double teleport. Will trying to do something. He still has the Rift Herald in his pocket, but he's 2 and 5, nearly 50 CS behind at under 13 minutes. Can JJ even win this fight?
This is so brutal. JJ goes for the hook here. A lot of damage, a lot of chain CC going on to Darshan, but you're given a kill right back
they got
to
it.
King.
Okay.
No! Lorlo will be able to get the ghost just in time to be able to get the transformation, and now going right after JJ. Surenfire will get the kill, making this a 1-for-1. Lorlo only barely able to escape.
Surenfire everywhere on the map, every single time with these counter engages. 7-0-3 at this point. He's got almost a kill to himself per minute at this point. So much power currently in this Diana. He's staying abreast of farm with the solo laners, and Isles going to be catching out Will.
Going right after Will. Will force to use the Lamb's Respite to try and buy as much time as possible, but there's no one here to help him out. He will take down Surenfire. Oh, I just ate my words thanks to Spawn, but here comes Copy and here comes Isles. Able to make this a 1-for-1. Out comes the Haymaker, grants a nice tasty shield. Showstopper goes out to follow. The bomb comes out, lands on the Copy. Copy's able to take it in his stride. Now Isles trying to make his daring escape. Here comes the outplay. Gonna do the juke with the Realm Warp. Hook comes in, pulls in Copy. Copy's still gonna continue fighting though. He has the Haymaker if he needs the shield. King's able to show up as well, resulting in a 1-for-1 exchange. Both junglers gonna go down at the end of this fight.
Fight's going so long at this point. You're just seeing how much sustain there is coming in from Cloud9 between King and Isles on the Senna and Karma. It's so difficult for them to deal with on Dignitas QNTMPAY. Darshan at the same time, major recipient of a ton of free time in the side lanes, takes down the bottom lane turret, gets a couple of plates, has the Eclipse completed for himself, and we haven't even been watching him nearly as much throughout this entire game because all the action has been revolving around Surenfire.
Be careful of your spawn right here. King is coming on the flank, but Surenfire spawn gonna make sure he takes down that mid lane tower thanks to that satchel. The beautiful things about playing that Ziggs, Cloud9 a little bit too late to the rotation.
Okay. I mean, that's something, right? They do get a little bit of local gold, but they're getting spotted out. JJ should be able to back away safely here, but he needs people to protect him to make sure they actually do so. And Surenfire going to be finding Will on the top side.
Oh, so many members going up towards the top side, and a fight breaking out in the bot side. Lorlo trying to chase down Darshan, who pushes him away, waiting for the cooldowns to find the re-engage. Throws out the shot glass behind him, not going to land onto Lorlo. Lorlo still continuing the hunt here, but will not find Darshan. Darshan will be able to slip away.
A little bit tough for Jace to actually interact with Lorlo in these long fights because Lorlo can just keep fighting, right? Whereas Jace really relies on that burst. It's very hard to burst out of Viego, but Darshan now going to be starting up the Dragon for themselves. It's 15, almost 16 minutes. Should be able to grab this second Dragon of the game for the Cloud9 team. They do, and it is going to be a 5,000 gold lead continuing to hold strong for Cloud9, and I think it's becoming rather difficult for the Dignitas members to take fights in ways that aren't going to be like a full 5v5 where they can bring their whole composition to bear, because these like stretched out skirmishes have been consistently going in favor of Cloud9.
And the most active person on the map is always going to be your jungler roaming from camp to camp. They can be anywhere at any given time, and Surenfire is 7-1-4 right now, so the threat he brings to Dignitas QNTMPAY is absolutely tremendous. It's hard for Dignitas to find their way in when you're constantly thinking about, like, what we had in the FlyQuest game. Is Jose Deodo going to come over the wall with his Diana and absolutely annihilate you? Got the same setup right here for Surenfire.
So we got to pay attention to how he's going to be playing, especially around his flash. He's going to be using it as this tool to just extend his engage range, or is he going to use it to try and reposition once fights have actually started? It is a situation where it is kind of hard for them to actually get these turrets with all the wave player that is. Oh, okay.
Will just barely able to get it, but here comes the hammer. Darshan looking to deliver more. Will be able to flash over the wall, get to safety. Not be too concerned, but you can see how quickly he was running away from any member that he sees of Cloud9. Given the disadvantage that you're seeing, still 2-level difference between these two junglers.
Spawn taking a lot of damage. Fire whenever they walk over, and now, oh, Darshan, oh, what was that?
Hook onto the tower. Darshan takes a lot of punishment, a lot of damage, but he's able to get a shield as Isles joins the fray. Now finding one is going to be Darshan onto JJ. Lorlo realizing that he teleported to the wrong side of the rift, gets smacked up and beat down by Darshan, who picks up the double kill.
It's going to be giving so much time in the mid lane as well. King going to be hitting people here now, but he's going to be isolated.
Oh, Surenfire's able to join, though, and this is the Fed member we've been talking about. King will be able to sidestep the bomb. So much damage onto Will. Will survive, though. Surenfire cannot follow up while going golden. Copy looking to come out of the flanks, but most of the members of Dignitas QNTMPAY have been bullied away from the tower. The ones that stay, their life is looking pretty forfeit here as the showstopper comes in. Haymaker to follow. Saligo falls. One more minion remains before the tower aggro starts shifting. Already King doing some damage, getting that tower aggro onto him, but the rest of Cloud9 Academy, they're able to bail in time while Darshan just wails away at that bot lane inner tower.
We're also seeing why Ziggs is so strong even in these games where they are getting slaughtered across the map. They are still able to defend these turrets because he's able to wave clear all these waves as long as he's alive. Already has the Ludens completed. But King, finally, when the Ziggs is no longer there, Cloud9 is free to play. They're able to actually hit these structures. That's going to be a third turret going down in favor of Cloud9, whereas Will, I mean, still, he's like 60 CS behind at this point in the jungle, trying to pick up this Rift Herald so that Cloud9 won't have an opportunity to grab it for themselves.
Yeah, Cloud9 had a game plan, and that was to isolate Will and destroy him. Take down one of the playmakers of Dignitas. It's working oh so well. Just look at that CS stiff. That is so painful. Even though Will is getting these Rift Heralds, it's more because Cloud9 are just allowing him to. He still hasn't been that impactful on the map.
Ooh, he's getting run down. Surenfire not quite going to be able to catch him. But Will, it is 19-20. Is he going to even finish a mythic item right now? I don't even know if he does. Darshan ends up getting hooked in a really weird way from JJ here, but he doesn't come too close. So we see just how many tools are there. The Eclipse comes through, the ultimate from Senna comes through, so he's got a lot of shields, catches people on the far side. So it's so difficult for Dignitas QNTMPAY to try and do anything with how responsive Cloud9 has typically been on the map. We do see that Will eventually does pick up the Kraken Slayer, but like he's so far behind in terms of his itemization for the rest of the map that it's going to be difficult for him to try and do much of anything during fights outside of using his ultimate.
Most definitely, as we do see Cloud9 starting to approach towards this Dragon Pit. We got 35 seconds before Dragon does spawn. Ligo trying to deal with that as well as Will, but it's going to be a long way. That inner tower, that inner bot lane tower was taken earlier, so you don't have as much safety tools if you are Dignitas when you're trying to find this defense and you need to make a retreat.
At least they have the Scuttle Crab, so they'll have a pretty good idea if Cloud9 are actually hitting this dragon. But I don't know if you can really contest anything. You don't have a whole lot of vision to walk in on otherwise. And so as it gets cleared out now, Cloud9 are going to continue to take control of this part of the map, and they are one dragon away from the Infernal Soul once they pick this up. And without Dignitas coming over, it's going to be a pretty secure dragon once again. So Cloud9 in a dominant position now. Now they need to figure out how to break the base going up against the Ziggs. The answer, usually Baron buff.
Grab Infernal for the time being. Gonna set them one away from that Dragon Soul point as Copy's gonna start to hunt down Lorlo, pulls him back in. Lorlo trying to use that stealth. Darshan not far off. Lands it with the Shock Blast acceleration gate, but Lorlo will be able to get back to his base. A lot of pressure on that bot side now as Copy continues his push.
Ligo hitting this top lane turret. There's still a Rift Herald, remember, for Dignitas QNTMPAY that they can potentially choose to drop, but they feel secure in their ability to take this without it, so they will have about a minute left to decide where they actually want to drop it. A little bit of gold going over to Rise is actually really impactful if Dignitas can find these plays later on with a full 5. The Ziggs is going to be dragging out the game quite a bit. Cloud9 need to go for this Baron soon. They need to create control around the top side of the map. Losing that turret's going to hurt.
Just look at how painful this is for Will right now. He's headed over towards his bot side jungle. The entire jungle is cleared out. He has nothing he can really farm. He's trying to get around the map and find something to really pick up. He's so far behind, he's so starved, and there's just no way to really get him back in this game. It's been a brutal series for him.
Well, they do crash this Rift Herald. It doesn't take the full turret, though. With the wave, it's still not going to be enough as Copy turns his attention towards, Shelly too. They are going to be clearing things out a little bit. Where's this teleport? It's going towards top lane.
Lorlo going for the flank, going straight towards the top side, sees Darshan. To be able to burst the bubble, but JJ is under attack as well. Going straight after him, Surenfire cannot complete the kill. Never mind, he gets it with the Q. Will with the blast plan over the wall, gets to safety, but Cloud9, swift kill, able to complete their mission and go straight for the tower.
Whoa! That was one shock blast. It took 60% of Will's HP away. He can't afford to even take a second one of those at this point. So Cloud9 in a very dominant position. Will can't really walk up. He can try and use the Lamb's Respite to keep it alive for a while longer. Cloud9 still not hitting. They're finally starting it. JJ responding in a second. He won't be here in time if Cloud9 commit to burning this.
See Will trying his hardest to get through, but there's so much to be afraid of. There's so much to worry about.
Realm Warp.
Okay. See in the sidelines, Copy waiting around, waiting for someone to walk a little bit too far forward. Bomb comes out. Not going to find too much over the wall. Will in trouble. Ultimate. Lamb's Respite will buy time, but the showstopper right out of that sucker. Baron goes straight to Cloud9 Academy as they continue their chase. Surenfire looking to find his mark onto spawn. There's no acceleration gate to get the movement speed boost, so they will not find much else. Besides Will, besides Baron, besides that advantageous situation where they're just looking to mow down the base of Dignitas.
Not get much else except for everything you could really ask for. You kill the jungler, you get the Baron. Surenfire might be caught, but he's also might be strong enough to just fight his way out of this. Double teleports coming through. Everybody's joining.
Everyone's going to join this fight, and Soligo instantly has to flash away. Isles going to go for the chase as well. Surenfire tries to get spawn, has to flash to be able to get to safety. Soligo will get behind and into his base. No worries coming out of Dignitas QNTMPAY other than their base now starting to look like it's about to be in flames.
And still 2 minutes left on the Baron buff, so that's the first turret already going down while it's active. King might be in a bit of trouble as his Copy.
Oh, here we go. Going right after. Oh! Poppy, my god! Destroys Will! Now sets his sights onto Lorelo. Lorelo, one more auto, one soft breeze could take him down, but he's able to get away. Will has just been stopped. He's been buried in this game number 2. Cloud9 in the base of Dignitas.
Okay, well, there's a miracle play if anything needs to happen for Dignitas QNTMPAY, and they're already getting engaged upon.
And here we go. Looking to find more is going to be Cloud9 Academy. Here comes the showstopper going right after Lorelo, but they also take down JJ in the process. Nowhere to hide besides your fountain. This is Cloud9. This is what we were hoping to see as they take a 2-0 versus Dignitas.
That was a dominant victory coming through from Cloud9. There's no two ways about it. They looked good the entire way through, and it really kind of highlights what happens when this veteran team puts their mind to something. They just found Will out over and over again. The early gameplay where JJ misses the hook snowballs incredibly. Will tries to find a counter kill on the top side to get the red buff, but ends up losing, and once you start crumbling at that point, there's not a lot of easy ways for Kindred to get back into the game.
Yeah, that was just oh so brutal for Dignitas to have to deal with, and a brilliant game plan to come out of Cloud9 Academy, because right from the get-go, it was just destroy Will, respond to whatever that Dignitas bring on the map, we're going to bring it so much better, even though we did see that early success from Dignitas that we saw at moments like this, but the ability to buy time from Cloud9, to extend these engages so more members can get in, it was just too much for Dignitas to handle.
We really saw Cloud9 a little bit faster on the counter rotations in a lot of these situations, and it really made a large difference when you are able to come in after Dignitas has already used most of their major cooldowns. And we see like stuff like this. I thought that copy might have even stolen the Rift Herald with that play, but they end up not needing to because they just get everybody else instead. And because they're always doing this, because they have the 3 teleports, they're also able to chain all of these situations where it takes too long for them to die to also start getting damage onto structures. And so the fact that Ziggs can wave clear was nullified for a good portion of this game.
Yeah, you know, Ziggs has good wave clear, but why not just farm him and take him down instead? This last little engage right here is really the most telling of the story of Will in this matchup. And don't put Will down for this one. You know, there's going to be a lot of people who suddenly start like typing out there that Will is a terrible jungler after being shut down like that. But that was the game plan of Cloud9. They wanted to shut down Will. Will does perform well. They went after his champion pool. They took away the Lee Sin. They took away the Xin Zhao, gave themselves Diana, and made sure there wasn't a speck of a treatment he can do to get Dignitas back up.
It was really impressive like how much they tried to do as a team, moving around to prevent this Kindred from ever coming online. And I don't think it was entirely the Kindred, right? It's not something that you can, are limited to doing only against that kind of champion. You can kind of do this thing against anything that you feel confident going for that 3v3 at level 1. And it's something that Cloud9, as the veteran players, feels like, yeah, no, don't worry, we're better. We're just going to win no matter what. So it's a very tough spot for Will as this relatively new player to come in and try and do something. But I also have to just be impressed that Cloud9 were able to do that with such great accuracy the entire time.
And it's kind of funny because the game flipped on itself. We did see the whole thing with King and his XP differential where he was kind of roaming a little bit too much at that 2-level deficit. Yeah, never mind that. We get to the late game. King's doing absolutely fine. Will is suffering. Overall, Cloud9 Academy, great performance. But to talk more about the performance, we do have Schernfire on the line with an interview. Schernfire, thank you for joining us. Congratulations on that 2-0.
Cheers, brother. What's up, guys?
Hey.
So first questions first, I gotta ask about that game plan for game number 2, because you guys treated Will so poorly right there. That was some outright bullying, man.
I have to let him know, man. That's just what it is.
All right. Well, I mean, I was really impressed with how Cloud9 has been able to play. We talked to Westrice yesterday a little bit as he's trying to bring everybody and make sure they're on the same page. And now that you guys are a little bit more firmly in a position of playoffs, how does that start to change the way you think about the rest of the season? Are you trying to be more experimental? Are you just trying to play your game? Or is there something else that's been going through your mind?
I think this split's been very different from last split, where it's like last split it was like same stuff, Hecarim, Udia, etc., like same champs, but like every patch it's like something changes. Aurelia randomly got buff, right? And now she's just first pick or meta pick, whatever you want to call it. There's just so many changes going fast. So I think every team's goal is just to adapt to the patches right now because it's wild.
Now, I do want to ask you a question as a player yourself. You've performed on Direwolves in the Oceanic region. You've been over here in Academy
Yeah,
as well as LCS. How does it feel hopping from team? Like, how is the environment now that you are into Cloud9 Academy?
the environment it's just, how can I put it? You have everything you basically need to succeed, it feels like. And I guess a big aspect of Cloud9 is how much they integrate the Academy team and the LCS team. Uh, we live like in the same type of area. We train in the same type of area. We work out together. Like there's just a lot of things that aren't said that make us, I guess, better. So
Well, that's really cool to hear. I also am a little bit curious since you guys are coming up towards the end of the season. You are currently finishing week 8 with week 9 left to play, and you still have Immortals and TSM coming up next week. Is there one of these that you're particularly looking forward to?
I'm not looking forward to playing IMT, honestly. It's just they're just gonna try to dive top and we'll see what happens, I guess. But yeah, I'm more looking forward to playoffs. Because we haven't had the best season. Like last split we were first place, and now we're like top 4 or 5, 6. So uh I don't think there's any excuses there. We've definitely had trouble winning as a team, so we'll figure it out. Hopefully, we'll figure it out, and I guess not to discredit people's wins over us because I think the bottom teams have really stepped up. Like I just saw today, GG took a game off 100 Thieves as well. So
All right, and last question: where do you see yourself placing at the grand end of this once we do get into playoffs and once that's all
I mean, it's first or nothing. That for
completed?
proving grounds as well, both.
All right.
I love the attitude, man. Congratulations on your victory, 2-0. Very clean, very brutal,
Appreciate
by
it.
the way. Wish you luck in the future games you have. All right, what a day of games, Yoshi. I mean, looking back on all of this, we had a lot of high stakes when it came to both the first game and the end game. A little bit of the sorrow that was CLG versus FlyQuest, but ultimately it does look like a lot of these teams are prepared for these final matches that they want to fight their way up.
It's true, and we also have to pay attention. I didn't get to see how the games on the secondary channel went, so we'll might have some word on that before we close out. But it also pushes Dignitas down at this point to a position where it's very, very difficult for them to actually make playoffs. And I think we might see an opportunity for them to try and do well when we start going into the Proving Grounds qualifier coming up in a couple of weeks. But it's definitely not a position where they want to be right now.
Now, trying to find some updates on the standings real quick, at least from what I can see so far, FlyQuest just need to win one more game and they are secured that first place spot. There's only 4 games left in the season. Got next week, and that is going to be it. I haven't seen any mathematical confirmations of anything else other than CLG, unfortunately falling out of playoffs contention. Still into the Proving Ground circuit, by the way, so getting a better seeding is always worthy for that, but that's at least the update we have for the standings so far, and nothing too surprising.
Honestly, no. A lot of these results were pretty expected. You saw the 1-1 tie from Evil Geniuses. You saw Cloud9 really stepping it up and having a great series up against Dignitas QNTMPAY. And of course, top of the table, bottom of the table. It's kind of what happens. They have to play each other in FlyQuest, showing why they deserve their spot to be at the very top. And it does mean that as we start to get our playoffs race to start to close out, there are still a couple places that are going to be in contention at the end, right? DSM Academy, right on the cusp. Immortals Academy, right on the cusp. Golden Guardians, a little bit outside an opportunity to easily make it in, but if things shake out their way, I'm pretty sure it's still possible for them to make their way into playoffs. So, as we see more teams jockeying for seeding, it is going to be really important that you win every single game from here on out.
So that's going to do it for here on the broadcast. My name, Derek Esrokpeltran. Joining me on this desk was Joshua Joshi Howard. We want to thank you so much for joining us. Got one more week of Academy left, so be sure not to miss week number 9 coming up Wednesday, same place, same time. But we want to thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will see you then. Take care.